Well, hey there, everybody. It's Chris from the Rate the Record podcast, and yes, oh yes, it's time to look at some new music for the new music review. I have 3 songs. I checked them out. Here's my opinions on them, and also I want to hear your opinions too. So yes, let's do all that. Talk about music and such. Let's get started. I can't waste time. I'm gonna jump right into it right now. But first, I have to shift over here. But other than that, I'm not wasting time. I'm not wasting time at all. I just have to shift over here. I'm over here now, so we can start talking about it. I'm gonna stop talking now, so I can start talking about the music. I'm sorry. So first up on the list we have The Breeders, and they're an alt-rock band from Dayton, Ohio, and they've been around since 1989. They have a very recent release by the name of Go Man Go. I'll start off by saying that I don't really know anything about The Breeders. I haven't really heard any of their songs before, so going into this I don't know about new albums being released or anything like that. So when I heard this song for the first time, I had to look up just how new this song was because it did come up on my release radar on Spotify. Turns out the song is not exactly new, it's just been unearthed because this came off of their album Last Splash 30 years ago. It's just unreleased, so still technically I guess it is a new track, but my god, it doesn't sound that way. This sounded far too spot on 90s style production, sound, tone, and everything to have been released in 2023. If you can replicate it that well, kudos. My god, you made it work, but no, of course, this is 1993, so makes sense. So that means, yes, Savannah would love it. I had already talked about the tones, and then the guitar, it's definitely there. It's that 90s kind of grungy alt guitar tone distortion kind of sound. I think it sounds cool. The song has a decent warm energy to it, so it has that going for it, and a lot of vocal layers in the background and everything that actually feel kind of flat, but it does suit the mood pretty well. It's a pretty short track, clocking in at only 2 minutes and 16 seconds, so realistically, there's not a whole lot to break down about this song. It has some typical 90s alt-rock affair stuff, it has some spoken word passages as well, like very brief spoken word passages, so that's about all I can say. Overall, the track sounds fine. There were some amateur moments, or amateur sounding moments on the instruments, not that these people are amateurs at what they do, but some of the guitar solo stuff just didn't hit all that well, so the song was okay, not terribly exciting though. So next up we have Barenaked Ladies, a pop rock band out of Scarborough, Ontario, Canada, just a suburb outside of Toronto. They've been pretty prominent in the Canadian music scene since 1988, and I think they've somewhat broken into the US. I can't really confirm or deny that though, but regardless, they did just drop a new single called Lovin' Life. If you know anything about this band, then chances are you're very familiar with their very quirky style of writing lyrics. That's very much prominent here, but on that note, it is still a very positive message. The song deals with themes of, it's pretty straightforward in the title, Love and Life. You love life and you want more out of it. It has obstacles, but things will get better, that type of thing. You can really tell that these guys are from Gen X because anyone younger than them wouldn't have such an optimistic look on things, so doomers beware of the positive vibes of this song. I can say that, I'm a millennial. I gotta say, ultimately, the instrumentals are not very interesting in this song at all. It's got a very poppy progression, slightly dance beat, kind of like just that straightforward hammering on like the bass drum, and I don't know, it's kind of boring overall. If you've listened to this song up to the end of the first chorus, then chances are you've heard the entire song. Realistically, that's all I can say about the song overall. It's kind of a snoozer, but the positive message was nice. I can't imagine this far into their career that the Barenaked Ladies would have anything in store that comes even close to their heyday in the 90s. They had like a few good albums in there, and they got really big around that time. So I wouldn't expect for too much, but then again, this is less than what I would hope for. So finally, we have The Smile, an art rock band out of England, and of course this band consists of members of Radiohead, Tom York, and Johnny Greenwood. I have covered The Smile before on New Music Review, all the way back in my very first review in January 2022, so if you want to go see that, go ahead. But for now, I'm going to do this brand new track that they just released called Bending Hectic. The song starts out pretty angelically, it's very pretty sounding. You have these finger-picked guitars that are super soft, and then Tom's vocals on top of that too, usually also very soft in its presentation, especially in this kind of style, so it sounds very nice to open up. The first sign of a change up in the song comes in the first third of the track, and I think I should also note too that the song is 8 minutes long, so when I say first third, we're already like 2.5 minutes or so through the track, so it takes a little while. You kind of get used to the style of the song, and then it starts to change up slightly, and the drums actually start to pick up here, not too heavily, but the first half, or third I should say, was more cymbal work than anything, but now you can hear a light snare in the background, so things are slightly picking up. wondering where this one's going from here. I will say the song remains fairly gentle throughout its 8-minute runtime, or most of it at the very least. It's the kind of track that you can just like lay down, close your eyes to, and relax. Just make sure that if you doze off, you wake up before the 5:30 mark. Suddenly you're met with this swelling of demented sounding strings. Some are ascending, some are descending. They're just kind of crossing paths with each other. It's very tense, like, sound. That's a tension building sound. There you go. That's the best way I can describe it. Once those strings hit their crescendo, then it breaks into more of a rock oriented tune, more or less like a stoner rock oriented tune. That's what I kind of felt about it, because it's this slow trudging beat. You have these very noisy distorted guitars that come in and take the track out from there. And I think it's like maybe the last quarter of the track or so. It made it interesting. It's just a long time to get to that actual payoff. Overall, this one was an interesting listen. As I said, it did take a while to get to that payoff, but you know what? I enjoyed the trip. I like what it gave me. Don't know how often I'd go back to it, but I wouldn't mind listening to it again. And that's it. That's my new music review for the week. 3 brand new songs that I checked out. Now, I want you to check them out too. Let me know what you thought of them down in the comments below. I am very curious to have this conversation with you. Obviously curious about your opinions, because you listen to mine. Now is your turn, because that's this whole back and forth that we're trying to create, right? Let's do it. On top of that, real quick, I'll just say like the video too and subscribe to the channel if you want more of this kind of stuff too. We like doing the NMRs. We've been doing them for like a year and a half now. We're going to keep going on them. We do enjoy it. But another thing to do is go to ratetherecord.ca, because over there you'll find all of our streaming links for our podcast, be it audio or video. Find all of our social medias. We have the RTR Club that you can join for $5 a month, get a bunch of extra and bonus stuff. Really super cool. Check that out. We have merch. You can request albums. A whole bunch to do over there, so make sure you are at ratetherecord.ca. So that way you can just follow us everywhere and know what we're doing at all times. God, that sounds weird to say. If you really want to know what we're doing most of the time, we're actually probably doing a podcast, the Rate the Record podcast, that is. This past Monday, we just released a brand new episode, and we looked at Queens of the Stone Age and their album Era Vulgaris. That was my choice this time around. Don't want to talk about it too much here, because you'll find out my opinion if you watch the episode. So the image is here next to me, the card appeared above my head, so go ahead and check that out, because, hey, what did Savannah think about it? Was it better than Rated R? Because she didn't like Rated R very much. Find out. And that's it. That's all I got. I have nothing else to tell you. I have nothing else to say. The only thing I can really say is, once again, thank you very much. Go listen to some awesome music out there, and we'll see you on Monday again for the podcast. So take care, friends.